You begin by noticing something small and ordinary. Not a clock, not a calendar, not a number glowing on a screen. You notice the space between one breath and the next. How it widens when you are calm. How it tightens when you are rushed. Here, in this quiet moment, time feels less like a ruler and more like a tide. It moves, but it does not command you. It flows around you rather than pushing you forward. As you rest, you realize you have always known this. Time has never felt the same in every moment of your life. A childhood afternoon stretched endlessly beneath the sun. A difficult hour passed like thick syrup. A joyful night vanished before you could hold it. Already, time has been bending gently, personally long before science gave it a name. Tonight, you allow yourself to explore that bending without fear. You are not here to measure time. You are here to feel it. In the world of physics, time is often treated with precision. Seconds tick. Clocks agree. Equations remain balanced. But beneath the clean surface lies a softer truth. Time is not experienced equally everywhere. It does not move at a single universal pace. It responds quietly to motion, to gravity, to the shape of the universe itself. You imagine time not as a straight road, but as a fabric. Smooth in some places, gently stretched in others. Never torn, never broken, just shaped by where and how you move. As your breathing slows, this fabric feels closer, almost touchable. You think about speed, not racing speed, but movement itself. Even now, you are not still. The earth turns beneath you. The planet drifts around the sun. The sun glides through the galaxy. You are traveling through space without effort, without awareness. And always, always, you are traveling through time. Science tells us that time and space are woven together. They form a single structure, like threads crossing in a vast cosmic cloth. You do not need equations to feel this. You feel it when a moment changes shape. Tonight, time begins to slow not because anything dramatic happens, but because you notice it happening. You imagine carrying a clock inside your body. Not a ticking device, but a living rhythm. Your heartbeat marks seconds. Your breath measures minutes. Your thoughts drift through hours. This inner clock does not care about precision. It cares about sensation. When you relax, it softens its pace. When you are alert, it sharpens its edge. Physics mirrors this experience in a surprising way. The faster something moves through space, the slower it moves through time. Not symbolically. Not emotionally. Literally. This idea does not arrive with drama. It arrives like dusk. Gradual, quiet, almost unnoticed until the light has already changed. You let this settle. Motion affects time. Speed reshapes duration. Nothing needs to explode for time to stretch. Nothing needs to break. It simply responds. You imagine walking faster and faster, until walking becomes gliding, and gliding becomes flight. As your speed increases, your experience of time subtly shifts. Your internal clock ticks a little slower compared to the world you leave behind. This is not a trick. It is not an illusion. It is the universe behaving exactly as it always does. You rest with that thought. Time is not fixed. Time is responsive. This realization does not demand action. It invites calm. If time can stretch, then urgency loosens its grip. If moments can widen, then rest becomes natural. You imagine standing at the edge of a long night. Stars above you shine from different eras. Some of their light began traveling before you were born. Some before humanity existed at all. Yet they arrive together in your eyes. Time collapses into a single moment of seeing. The universe does this constantly, folding vast durations into quiet experiences. You begin to sense that time is not something chasing you. It is something accompanying you. In this chapter of the night, nothing is required of you. No destination waits. No schedule pulls you forward. You float in a slow river of moments, each one aware of your presence. Science often speaks in certainty, but here it speaks softly. It says, time depends on motion. It says, time depends on perspective. It says, there is no single, universal now. Instead, there are countless gentle nows, each shaped by where you are and how you move. This thought might feel unsettling in daylight. But in the quiet of bedtime, it feels like permission. Permission to rest. Permission to slow. Permission to let the moment expand until it can hold you completely. You notice your body sinking deeper into stillness. Your breath stretches longer. Your thoughts arrive with more space between them. Time is already responding. As the chapter closes, you sense that this is only the beginning. If time can slow simply by noticing it, what happens when motion truly begins? What happens when two clocks travel different paths through the universe? The night holds the question gently, and you drift closer to it, ready to listen. As your awareness softens, you begin to imagine two quiet clocks drifting apart, both telling the truth in their own way, and you wonder how time chooses who to follow next. You picture two clocks at rest, side by side, breathing the same quiet air. They are identical in every way. Their hands move together. Their seconds fall in perfect rhythm, like two hearts sharing one body. In this moment, time feels unanimous. There is no argument about now. Then, gently, without drama, the clocks begin to separate. One remains with you, still and settled. The other begins to move. Not rushing. Not fleeing. Just traveling. At first, nothing seems to change. The moving clock ticks calmly, faithfully, doing exactly what clocks are meant to do. It does not strain. It does not resist. It simply goes. You watch it drift farther away, perhaps carried by a train, a ship, or a quiet spacecraft sliding into darkness. And still, both clocks agree. This is how time often behaves. Patient at first. Unassuming. But as motion continues, something subtle begins to happen. Not to the clock itself, but to the relationship between them. You do not see gears slipping. You do not hear ticks faltering. Everything looks normal. Yet physics is already at work. The moving clock begins to experience time differently. Not emotionally. Not symbolically. Physically. Its seconds stretch just a little compared to the one resting with you. This difference is tiny at human speeds. so small it hides beneath daily life. But it is real, always present. You let this idea settle slowly, like dust in moonlight. There is no universal rhythm beating beneath the cosmos. There is no single metronome governing all moments. Instead, time listens. It listens to motion. You imagine the moving clock whispering its own version of now. Not wrong, just different. Back where you are, your clock continues, unaware of the change. It marks time faithfully, convinced correctly that it tells the truth. And it does. This is the strange tenderness of reality. Two truths can exist without conflict. When the traveling clock eventually returns, something remarkable appears. Not damage. Not confusion. Just difference. The moving clock shows less time has passed for it. It has aged more slowly. You pause with this realization. Time has become personal. Not because of belief. Not because of feeling. But because of motion itself. This is not a thought experiment alone. It has been tested, measured, confirmed. Clocks flown on airplanes return slightly younger than those left on the ground. Satellites adjust their timekeeping constantly, compensating for motion and gravity, so your navigation systems can remain accurate. The universe demands this honesty. Time does not pretend to be the same everywhere. As you rest, this no longer feels strange. It feels intimate. You think about how your own days feel longer or shorter without explanation. How waiting stretches minutes. How laughter collapses hours. These are not the same as relativistic time, yet they echo it. They remind you that time has never been neutral to experience. Now, science simply reveals that the universe agrees with you. You imagine countless clocks scattered across space. On planets. On ships. On drifting particles of dust. Each clock carries its own tempo. Each tells the truth from where it is. There is no master clock checking their answers. No cosmic authority correcting them. There is only consistency within perspective. This thought quiets something inside you. The need for everything to line up perfectly. If time itself allows disagreement, perhaps you can too. You let your breathing slow. Inhale. Exhale. Even now, your body is a clock in motion. Blood flows. Signals travel. Cells divide. Your internal time is shaped by your movement through the world. By gravity holding you. By speed carrying you. You are not outside this story. The night deepens, and the idea of disagreement softens into harmony. Not sameness. Harmony. Two melodies can differ and still belong to the same song. Time behaves like this. You imagine standing between the two clocks, the one that stayed, and the one that traveled. You do not judge either. You simply listen. One tells a longer story. One tells a shorter one. Both are complete. As this chapter draws toward rest, a new curiosity stirs. If motion alone can cause time to drift apart, what happens when motion becomes extreme? What happens when speed approaches the ultimate limit, the speed of light itself? You feel that question hovering gently, like a horizon just before sleep, waiting to carry you into the next part of the journey. As the two clocks fall quiet in your mind, you sense that their gentle disagreement is only the beginning, and somewhere ahead, light itself is waiting to show you how far time can bend. You imagine beginning to move faster, not suddenly, not violently, but gradually, like easing into a long glide. The world does not blur. Nothing shakes. Instead, everything grows quieter, as if sound itself respects the change. You are no longer walking through space. You are flowing through it. Ahead of you is light, not as a beam from a lamp, but as a presence. It fills the universe without effort. It travels without rest. You do not chase it. You simply travel alongside it, increasing your speed until the difference between you and light feels almost gentle. In everyday life, speed feels relative. A car passes you. A plane crosses the sky. Movement stacks neatly, one on top of another. But here, near light, the rules soften. Speed no longer adds the way you expect. No matter how much faster you go, light remains just ahead, unreachable, untouchable. Not because you are weak, but because the universe has drawn a quiet line. Light does not slow for anything. You rest with this idea, letting it settle like a warm blanket. Light is constant. Always the same. For everyone. This is not a poetic choice. It is a physical one. The universe insists that light's speed never changes, no matter how fast you move. And to protect this rule, something else must bend. Time. As you approach light's pace, time responds by stretching. Moments widen. Seconds grow longer. Your internal clock begins to slow, not in sensation, but in reality. You do not feel frozen. You feel normal. This is the strange kindness of relativity. Nothing feels broken from the inside. Your thoughts arrive calmly. Your breath remains steady. Your heartbeat continues its rhythm. It is only when you imagine looking back that the change becomes clear. Far behind you, the universe is aging faster. Stars evolve. Planets complete long orbits. Civilizations rise and fade. And you drift, carried by speed, barely touched by those passing years. This is not fantasy. This is the natural outcome of traveling near light. You let go of the urge to calculate. Numbers are not needed here. Only feeling. Time is no longer a shared agreement. It is a companion adjusting its pace to yours. As your speed increases, space itself begins to change shape. Distances ahead compress. The universe feels closer, folded inward, like fabric gently gathered. Journeys shorten. Not because destinations move, but because space cooperates. This too is real. This too has been measured. Near light, space and time rearrange themselves to keep light constant. They do this without complaint. You sense that nothing is absolute anymore, not distance, not duration. Only light remains unchanged, a steady whisper through everything. You wonder what it would feel like to move exactly at light speed. The thought arrives softly, and science answers just as gently. You cannot. For anything with mass, even the smallest particle reaching light speed would require infinite energy. Not because of a barrier you could smash through, but because the universe refuses to let the rules break. Light belongs to a different category of existence. It does not experience time the way you do. If you could ride alongside a photon, time would not pass for it at all. No before, no after. From its perspective, if perspective applies, every moment of its journey exists at once. This idea does not feel frightening tonight. It feels like stillness. Perfect, endless stillness. You remain just below that limit, where experience still unfolds. Where moments still follow one another, slowly, tenderly. Here, speed becomes a lullaby. Each increase in motion softens the flow of time a little more. Urgency dissolves. There is no rush when time itself stretches to meet you. You imagine the universe watching you pass, not alarmed, not surprised. It has done this dance forever. Particles and accelerators race near light every day. Their lifetimes extend. Their decay slows. Time yields. You are not special in this motion. You are simply participating. The closer you drift to light, the more you realize that stillness is not the absence of movement. It is balance. At near light speed, everything is moving intensely, yet change arrives slowly. Stillness hides inside motion. This feels important, though you do not rush to understand why. Understanding can wait. For now, you float with the idea that extremes do not always bring chaos. Sometimes they bring calm. The universe does not tear apart near light. It becomes precise. Every rule sharpens. Every relationship tightens. Time slows not out of mercy, but out of necessity. You sense that this is why light feels sacred across cultures and history. Not mystical, but foundational. Light defines causality. It sets the maximum pace at which influence can travel. Nothing outruns it. Nothing cheats it. And so, time bends to protect it. As you drift, you feel a gentle separation forming not between you and the universe, but between different experiences of now. Your now is long, stretched, unhurried. Somewhere else, now is racing forward. Neither is wrong. The night grows deeper, and the idea of speed loses its sharp edges. It becomes another texture of existence. You are no longer curious about reaching the limit. You are content approaching it. Because near light, you learn something quiet and essential. Change does not disappear. It simply slows enough to be noticed. As this chapter draws toward rest, you sense another force waiting nearby. Not speed, but weight. Not motion, but pull. If speed can slow time by stretching it forward, what happens when gravity presses time downward instead? The question settles gently into the dark, ready to guide you deeper into the universe's soft distortions. As you drift just shy of light's embrace, you begin to feel another presence shaping time from a different direction, and you sense gravity waiting patiently to take its turn. You do not meet the idea all at once. It arrives slowly, the way night does. Not with a sharp edge, but with a soft dimming of certainty. For a long time, space and time have felt like separate things. Space is where you are. Time is when you are. Two quiet rooms connected by habit, but not by design. Tonight, that separation begins to dissolve. You imagine a simple scene. You are standing still. Nothing dramatic happens. No motion. No rush. Even here, something remarkable is true. You are moving through time. This movement is as constant as breathing. It does not ask permission. It does not pause. Einstein's quiet revelation begins here, not with speed, not with stars, but with stillness. He notices that motion through time and motion through space are not separate journeys. They are different directions along the same path. You picture this path not as a straight line, but as a wide, gentle surface. A landscape rather than a road. When you move faster through space, you move more slowly through time. When you remain still in space, you move fully through time. Nothing is lost. Nothing is gained. Movement is simply redistributed. This is not a metaphor to soften the truth. It is the truth itself, expressed softly enough to rest with you. You are always moving at a constant pace through space-time, the combined fabric of space and time. If you lean into one direction, you lean away from another. The universe keeps its balance. This realization does not arrive with thunder. It arrives with calm. You begin to see why time slowed near light. Why clocks disagreed. Why motion reshaped duration. They were not exceptions. They were clues. Einstein did not change the universe. He listened to it more carefully. He noticed that space and time are woven so tightly that pulling on one always moves the other. They are not neighbors. They are partners. You imagine them dancing. Not fast. Not slow. Just precisely matched. Every step in space shifts the rhythm of time. Every pause in space deepens time's flow. This dance does not require an audience. It unfolds everywhere, always. As you breathe, space-time curves gently around you. Not because you are large, but because everything participates. Even now, the floor beneath you bends the fabric slightly. So does the earth. So does the sun. Mass is not just weight. It is influence. This is another quiet turn in the revelation. Objects do not merely exist in space-time. They shape it. You imagine space-time as a calm surface of water. A smooth lake at dawn. Place something heavy upon it, and the surface curves. Not abruptly. Not violently. Just enough to matter. Other objects follow these curves naturally. Not because they are pulled by an invisible force, but because the path itself has changed. Gravity, in this view, is not a hand pulling things downward. It is space-time showing things where to go. This feels different from how gravity is usually explained. Less aggressive. More elegant. Nothing is yanking you toward the earth. The earth is shaping the path you are already traveling. You fall because you are following the straightest possible line through a curved reality. This is Einstein's gift. Not complexity, but clarity. Space and time are no longer stages where events happen. They are participants. They bend. They respond. They listen. And time, once thought absolute and universal, becomes intimate and local. Your time depends on where you are. On how fast you move. On how deeply gravity holds you. This might feel unsettling in daylight. But here, in the quiet of night, it feels personal. Time is no longer something imposed upon you. It is something shaped around you. You are not racing against a cosmic clock. You are carrying your own rhythm through a shared fabric. Einstein's equations describe this precisely, but you do not need equations tonight. You need only the feeling that reality is not rigid, the feeling that flexibility is fundamental. Nothing snaps when space-time bends. Nothing breaks when time slows. The universe is built for this. You sense that this is why relativity feels so calm when understood gently. It does not introduce chaos. It removes false certainty. There is no single frame of reference privileged above all others. No absolute viewpoint declaring itself correct. Every observer carries their own now. This does not lead to confusion. It leads to humility. The universe does not demand agreement. It allows coherence without sameness. You rest with this idea. Perhaps understanding does not require force. Perhaps it arrives best when allowed. Einstein's revelation was not loud because the universe itself is not loud. It whispers its truths through consistency. Light behaves the same for everyone. Time adjusts to protect that rule. Space curves to guide motion. Everything cooperates. As your mind settles, you feel the edges of the concept smoothing. No longer something to grasp. Something to float within. Space-time is not abstract here. It is the quiet stage beneath your thoughts. You are always moving through it. Always shaping it. Always shaped by it. This makes you feel smaller and larger at the same time. Smaller, because you are not central. Larger, because you participate. Nothing about you is outside the structure of reality. You are written into it. As the chapter nears its close, a deeper curiosity stirs. If space and time bend together, and mass shapes that bending, then something else must be true. Time does not slow only because of speed. It slows because of weight. Because of gravity. You sense this realization hovering nearby, heavy but gentle. Waiting to be explored. The dance of space-time has another partner stepping forward, not motion this time, but mass itself. And as you drift closer to sleep, you feel gravity's quiet presence growing stronger, ready to show you how time can slow without moving at all. As space and time settle into their shared rhythm, you feel the subtle pull of gravity bending that rhythm even further, and you begin to wonder how deeply time slows when weight itself leans into the universe. You begin by noticing your body, not as an object resting in space, but as something quietly moving through time. Not rushing. Not stopping. Just continuing. Every cell within you carries a rhythm. Every heartbeat marks a moment passing. Every breath is a small agreement with time itself. You have never been still in time, not even once. Even when you sleep, even when you dream, your body travels forward, step by gentle step, through the invisible dimension of duration. Tonight, you let yourself feel this movement without judgment. It does not feel urgent. It does not feel heavy. It feels natural. Physics often speaks of clocks and particles, but you are a clock too. A living one. More complex than gears. More forgiving than machines. Your body measures time not in seconds, but in change. Cells divide. Signals travel along nerves. Memories settle into shape. All of this is time passing, expressed softly. You imagine your body as a small vessel moving through space-time, carrying warmth, awareness, and life. Where you go matters. How fast you move matters. What holds you matters. Time does not pass through you untouched. It brushes against you, responds to you, adjusts to your journey. This is not philosophy. It is physics. If you were to move very fast, truly fast, your body would age more slowly compared to someone who stayed behind. Not because your cells resist time, but because time itself flows differently along your path. This idea settles gently tonight. Aging is not a universal drumbeat heard the same everywhere. It is a rhythm shaped by motion and gravity. You imagine two versions of yourself. One remains on Earth. The other travels far, fast, close to the speed of light. When they meet again, their bodies do not tell the same story. One carries more years. The other carries fewer. Neither is wrong. Time has simply touched them differently. You think about how strange this would sound in daylight conversation. Yet here, in the quiet, it feels almost obvious. Why should time treat all paths the same, when paths themselves are different? Your body already knows this in subtle ways. A stressful moment ages you faster than a calm one, at least in feeling. A peaceful year feels lighter than a heavy one. These are not the same as relativistic aging, but they rhyme with it. The universe seems to like patterns repeating at different scales. As you rest, you feel the gentle weight of gravity holding you to the earth. This too affects time. Time moves slightly slower here than it would far away, drifting in empty space. The difference is tiny, imperceptible to your senses. Yet it is real. Your body ages at a pace set not only by biology, but by where you exist in the universe. You are aging a little more slowly than someone far from any massive object. Not enough to notice. Enough to be true. This realization does not frighten you. It softens something instead. Aging no longer feels like a rigid march forward. It feels like a journey taken at different speeds, depending on the road. Your body is not failing as time passes. It is participating. Every wrinkle, every change, every adaptation is a record of motion through space-time. This perspective offers a quiet kindness. You are not being worn down by time. You are being shaped by it. Your body has always known how to change. It has always known how to respond. Time does not attack it. Time collaborates with it. You imagine time as a slow river and your body as a leaf resting on its surface. The leaf does not fight the current. It moves with it, turning gently as the water guides it. Some paths are faster. Some slower. All are valid. As you breathe, you notice how deeply physical this journey is. Time is not an abstract idea floating above you. It is embedded in your muscles, your bones, your nerves. Your thoughts themselves take time to form. Your emotions rise and fade across minutes and hours. Even awareness has a pace. Nothing about you exists outside duration. And yet, you are not trapped by it. Physics does not describe aging as decay alone. It describes it as a record of motion. Where you have been. How you have moved. What has shaped your path. Your body is a map of time traveled. This thought allows you to rest more deeply. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is arbitrary. Every change is a mark of participation in the universe. As the night grows quieter, you feel gratitude for the steadiness of your body's clock. It does not rush. It does not panic. It keeps time faithfully, even as time itself bends around it. You sense that this understanding makes the universe feel more personal. Not distant. Not mechanical. Your body is not separate from cosmic rules. It lives inside them. You are made of the same principles that govern stars and light. You are simply arranged differently. As this chapter begins to close, a new image forms in your mind. You see a human traveler, not abstract now, but real. An astronaut. Someone who leaves Earth, moves fast, and returns changed in a quiet, undeniable way. Not harmed. Not broken. Just younger than expected. The story is no longer theoretical. It has a face. And as your awareness drifts toward that story, you feel curiosity settle beside you, patient and calm, ready to follow a traveler who comes home carrying fewer years than the world they left behind. As your body rests within its gentle rhythm of time, you begin to imagine a traveler returning from the stars, unchanged in body yet altered by years never lived, and you wonder how it would feel to come home younger than the world remembers you. You imagine a single traveler preparing to leave the earth. Not dramatic. Not heroic. Just human. They pack memories more than supplies. Voices. Faces. The weight of ordinary days. When the journey begins, nothing about them changes all at once. Their body feels familiar. Their thoughts remain steady. Time moves normally from the inside. This is important. From within the traveler's experience, nothing feels unusual. Their heart beats. Their breath rises and falls. Sleep arrives when it always does. They move fast, unimaginably fast, skimming the edge of light's great limit. Yet inside, life feels calm. This is how relativity hides its power. It never announces itself to the one living through it. The ship travels onward, years passing quietly for those left behind. On Earth, seasons change. People age. Children grow into adults. Calendars fill. History continues. But for the traveler, time is thinner. Stretched. Diluted by speed. Days still pass, but fewer of them fit into the journey. A year for Earth becomes months for the one in motion. Nothing is taken from them. Nothing is stolen. Time simply flows along a different path. This is not a paradox. It is not a trick. It is a consequence of motion through space-time. When the ship finally turns back, the universe feels unchanged from inside. Stars still shine. Thoughts still wander. The traveler does not feel preserved. They feel present. And then they return. Earth appears familiar and strange at once. Landmarks remain, but everything carries an extra layer of age. Friends have lines where there were none. Voices sound deeper, slower, heavier with years. The traveler steps forward carrying fewer birthdays than the people welcoming them home. This moment is often described as shocking, but tonight it feels quiet. Almost tender. No one is wrong. No one is cheated. Time has simply told two versions of the same story. The traveler did not escape time. They experienced it differently. This difference is not philosophical. It is measurable. Atomic clocks would confirm it. Biology would agree. Cells have divided fewer times. Processes have unfolded more slowly. The traveler is younger because less time has passed for them. You sit with this idea, letting it soften. Youth here is not beauty, not vitality, not nostalgia. It is duration. The astronaut's youth is not something they kept. It is something they never lived. This feels important. Time dilation does not rewind life. It does not grant immortality. It simply changes how much time fits inside a journey. The traveler did not pause existence. They carried it at a slower pace. This reframes aging entirely. Aging is not a punishment for staying. It is a record of time experienced. Those who remained on Earth did not lose anything either. Their years were full, dense with events, growth, and change. No one's life is diminished. The difference between them is not loss. It is perspective. Two biographies written from the same departure. You imagine the quiet conversations that follow. Stories exchanged. Memories compared. The traveler remembers fewer holidays, fewer dawns, fewer ordinary mornings. But they remember the silence between stars. The stretched calm of near-like motion. Neither life is superior. They are simply different shapes of time. This realization settles gently into you. Time is not fair in the way rules are fair. It is fair in the way nature is fair, consistent, honest, unnegotiable. The equations never bend for sentiment. They bend for speed. This does not make them cruel. It makes them reliable. You realize that this story already exists in smaller forms. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station return slightly younger than those on Earth. Not enough to feel. Enough to measure. The universe has already performed this experiment. And it does so without ceremony. The idea of coming home younger often sounds like fantasy. But tonight, it feels grounded. Almost humble. It is not about escaping life. It is about how life unfolds under different conditions. You think about how everyone you know is already aging at slightly different rates. Gravity varies. Motion varies. Altitude matters. Time is already uneven. Relativity simply makes this unevenness visible. The traveler's story does not end with envy or regret. It ends with understanding. They learn that time is not something shared equally. It is something carried individually. You feel this lesson resonate quietly. Perhaps comparison is unnecessary. Perhaps life does not require synchronization. Each person moves along their own path through space-time, gathering moments at their own pace. The traveler's youth does not erase the years lived by others. It exists beside them. Like two melodies played in different tempos. This thought eases something deep inside you. You do not need to keep up with anyone else's clock. You never did. Your life is not late. It is not early. It is precisely where it is. The astronaut's return teaches this without words. They do not boast. They do not apologize. They simply stand as evidence that time is flexible, personal, and real. As the night deepens, the image of the traveler begins to soften. They fade into the wider human story. Because this chapter is not really about astronauts. It is about you. You are already moving through time at your own pace. Shaped by where you are. By how you move. By what holds you. You cannot choose your speed through space-time freely. But you can choose how gently you live within it. This feels like enough for now. As the chapter closes, another question forms quietly. If time can stretch and compress, if lives can age unevenly, then something else must matter deeply. How do these differences feel from the inside, across memory, identity, and self? The traveler's story leaves that question resting beside you. And as you drift closer to sleep, you sense the next chapter waiting, ready to explore how memory holds time, and how the self stretches gently across years that never move at the same pace. As the astronaut's quiet youth settles into memory, you begin to wonder how uneven time shapes who you become inside, and whether the self ages the same way the body does it all. You begin this chapter not with clocks or travelers, but with memory. The quiet keeper of time inside you. Memory does not count seconds. It collects moments. Some days leave no trace at all. Others remain vivid for decades, glowing softly whenever you pass them in thought. Already, time behaves unevenly inside you. You notice how childhood feels distant, yet strangely close. How recent years sometimes blur together. How a single smell or sound can collapse decades into an instant. Memory folds time. This is not imagination. It is how the brain works. Your mind does not store life as a straight line. It stores patterns, emotions, significance. What matters stays. What fades dissolves gently, without apology. Tonight, this feels comforting rather than unsettling. Aging, you realize, is not just what happens to the body. It is what happens to memory. Years pass, but only some of them settle deeply into who you are. You imagine your life as a long shoreline. Time moves like waves, arriving again and again. Some waves leave strong marks in the sand. Others retreat without changing anything at all. From the outside, aging looks steady and unavoidable. From the inside, it feels uneven. Some years feel long. Some feel impossibly short. This inner experience quietly mirrors relativity. Just as motion and gravity stretch physical time, meaning stretches psychological time. Moments filled with novelty slow down memory. Routine compresses it. Your mind, like the universe, reshapes time based on conditions. This does not make memory unreliable. It makes it adaptive. You are not meant to remember everything. You are meant to remember what matters. This changes how you think about the self. If time is uneven and memory selects, then who you are is not built from equal slices of years. You are built from highlights. From turning points. From moments of learning, loss, joy, and quiet realization. The self is not a timeline. It is a constellation. Stars scattered across different years, connected by meaning rather than proximity. This is why you can feel like the same person you were long ago, even as your body changes. And why you can feel entirely different after a single year. Identity stretches. It is not rigid. It is not fixed to age. Physics tells us that time does not flow at one universal rate. Psychology tells us the same, in a different language. Neither contradicts the other. They describe different layers of the same truth. You consider the astronaut again, returning younger than expected. Their body has lived fewer hours. But what about their self? They have seen things few humans ever see. They have carried silence that stretches between stars. Their memories may feel long, even if their years are few. This reveals something gentle. Aging is not only about duration. It is about density. How much experience fits into the time you live? Your life may feel long not because it contains many years, but because it contains depth. This softens the fear of time passing. You are not racing against a finish line. You are accumulating meaning. The self, you realize, is not dragged forward by time. It is carried. Sometimes gently. Sometimes unevenly. Memory acts as a kind of gravity for identity. It pulls certain moments closer, keeps them orbiting near who you are. Other moments drift away, not lost, just distant. This is not failure. It is design. Your brain protects you from being overwhelmed by duration. It gives you a livable version of time. You notice how, in quiet moments like this, memory slows down. Thoughts stretch. Associations wander. Time feels wide. This is why nights feel different from days. Why reflection expands awareness. Sleep itself reshapes memory, weaving experiences into meaning. Even rest participates in time. As you lie here, your mind is quietly reorganizing your life. Not chronologically. Emotionally. This is happening whether you notice it or not. The self you wake up as tomorrow will be slightly different. Not older in a dramatic way. Just subtly rearranged. This feels peaceful rather than alarming. You are not a finished object being worn down by years. You are a process unfolding. Time does not erode you. It reveals you. Physics describes time as a dimension. Memory turns it into a story. Both are true. Neither is complete alone. You sense that this understanding changes how you think about the future. The future is not an empty stretch waiting to be filled. It is a space of potential memories. What matters is not how fast it arrives, but what settles when it does. This thought releases some pressure. You do not need to outrun time. You cannot. But you can live in a way that gives time something worth holding on to. This chapter feels like a pause. A moment to breathe between bigger ideas. Because something else is approaching, heavier, quieter, more fundamental. Gravity. If memory shapes time inside you, gravity shapes time outside you. It bends duration not through meaning, but through mass. And just as memory pulls moments closer, gravity pulls time itself into curves. You feel these two ideas begin to mirror one another. Inner time. Outer time. Both uneven. Both real. As your thoughts slow, You sense the next chapter forming. Not about speed, not about motion, but about weight. About how the presence of mass slows time, even when nothing appears to move at all. The universe is about to grow heavier and quieter. As memory settles into gentle patterns inside you, you begin to feel time slowing from another source entirely, and you sense gravity's deep, patient pull preparing to show how stillness itself can bend the flow of moments. You begin by imagining stillness. Not the stillness of sleep, but the stillness of standing quietly in one place. Feet on the ground, body at rest. It feels like nothing is moving. Yet physics gently corrects this feeling. Even here, time is flowing. And even here, gravity is shaping how it flows. You sense gravity not as force, but as presence. A quiet weight that does not pull aggressively. It simply holds. The earth holds you. The floor holds you. And beneath that holding, time itself slows ever so slightly. This idea arrives softly. You are used to thinking that time slows only when things move very fast. But gravity whispers a different truth. Time also slows when mass is near. You do not need speed. You only need weight. You imagine a clock resting on the surface of the earth. It ticks calmly, confidently. It feels ordinary. Now you imagine an identical clock far away from any planet, drifting in deep space. Nothing pulls on it. Nothing curves the space around it. That distant clock ticks just a little faster. Not enough to notice. Enough to matter. Time runs slower where gravity is stronger. This is not a metaphor. It is a measurement. Clocks placed higher above the earth tick faster than clocks on the ground. Satellites must adjust their time constantly to stay in sync with life below. Without this correction, navigation would fail. Signals would drift. The universe insists on honesty. You rest with this idea. Time depends not only on motion, but on depth. Gravity bends space-time downward, like a gentle hollow. And time follows that curve. Near mass, time sinks. You imagine space-time again as a surface, calm and wide. Place a heavy object upon it, and the surface curves. Not sharply, smoothly. Paths that cross the surface change. Even the path of time itself. Standing still on Earth means you are deeper in this curve. Time flows more slowly here than it does higher above the planet. Stillness, you realize, is never neutral. Where you stand matters. You think about mountains, about valleys, about the quiet difference in gravity between them. A clock at the top of a mountain ages faster than one at sea level. Not in feeling. In fact. The difference is small. But it is real. Time is already uneven beneath your feet. This does not make the world unstable. It makes it textured. You feel comfort in this. The universe does not flatten everything into sameness. It allows variation. Gravity's influence grows stronger near heavier objects. Planets slow time. Stars slow it more. Near something extremely massive, time slows dramatically. You imagine approaching a dense star. A white dwarf. A neutron star. Here, Gravity is no longer gentle. Space-time curves steeply. Time begins to stretch. Seconds grow heavy. From far away, everything near that star appears to move slowly. From within, life feels normal. This pattern repeats again and again. Time always feels ordinary to the one living inside it. The universe does not alarm its inhabitants. It simply adjusts the background rhythm. You let this idea soften your thoughts. Gravity is not violence. It is geometry. It tells time where to go. The heavier the mass, the deeper the curve, the slower time flows. You imagine the extreme case now. Not rushing toward it. Just approaching in thought. A black hole. Here, gravity becomes overwhelming. Space-time curves inward so deeply that paths fold toward a single region. Time slows dramatically near this edge. From far away, an object falling toward a black hole appears to slow almost to a stop. Moments stretch. Seconds lengthen. Time seems to freeze. Yet from the falling object's own perspective, time continues. Thoughts form. Events happen. The universe protects internal experience. This duality does not feel frightening tonight. It feels consistent. Time adapts to conditions, always. You realize something quietly profound. Time is not flowing through the universe uniformly, like water through a pipe. It is shaped locally, responding to mass and motion. Every place carries its own tempo. The earth hums with a certain rhythm. The moon with another. The sun with a deeper one still. You are living inside a slow song played by gravity. This makes rest feel earned rather than wasted. Even doing nothing, you are participating in a vast structure. Time slows around you because the earth is here. Because mass exists. Because the universe has shape. You think again about memory. How certain moments feel heavy, slowing your inner sense of time. The echo is unmistakable. Inside and outside mirror each other. Weight bends time. Meaning bends memory. Both slow experience. As your breathing deepens, you notice how gravity feels supportive rather than restrictive. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you oriented. It gives time a place to rest. You are not floating lost in an empty universe. You are held inside a curved one. This holding allows time to linger. You feel safe inside this slowness. The night feels thicker now, quieter. Not because anything has stopped. Because gravity invites patience. You sense that this understanding prepares you for a deeper question. If gravity and speed can reshape time so profoundly, what happens to the human experience inside these distortions? How would relationships survive uneven time? How would language adapt? How would home feel if time no longer aligned? The science has been gentle so far. The consequences are about to become personal. As the chapter closes, gravity's presence fades into the background hum of reality. Still there. Always there. And you feel yourself drifting toward the next thought, not about physics alone, but about humanity moving through these quiet distortions of time. As gravity settles into its slow, steady rhythm beneath you, you begin to imagine how a life would feel if time itself moved differently from everyone else's, and you wonder whether you would still recognize yourself as human at all. You begin by imagining motion not as excitement, but as separation. Not the dramatic kind with alarms and flashing lights, but a slow, polite drifting apart. You move so fast that the universe cannot quite keep you company. Stars slide by without stopping. Signals lag behind. And still, inside you, your breath remains calm, steady, human. You wonder first about faces. About the people you love, frozen gently in your memory while you continue onward. You do not lose them, not really. You simply carry them at a different pace. Their voices become recordings in your mind, not because they are gone, but because time now treats you differently. You are not abandoning anyone. You are only listening to a quieter clock. From your perspective, nothing feels rushed. Days unfold normally. You eat, you rest, you think. Your body does not feel stretched or thinned. Your thoughts remain familiar, looping gently from curiosity to reflection and back again. If you looked in a mirror, you would still recognize yourself. The strangeness lives outside you, not within. Yet you know that elsewhere, time is moving more quickly. People you once knew were changing faster than you are. Languages shift. Cities rebuild themselves. Songs are written, forgotten, and written again. You are not out of sync with yourself, but with the world that raised you. This difference feels tender rather than cruel. You ask whether humanity depends on shared time. Whether being human requires growing old together, remembering the same events, grieving and celebrating in step. It feels like it might. And yet, even now, no two lives unfold at the same rhythm. Children and elders already live in different tempos. Memory already bends time unevenly. Perhaps this journey only makes visible what was always true. You imagine returning someday, stepping gently back into a place that feels both familiar and distant. Faces look older. Buildings carry new scars and fresh paint. People speak your name with a kind of curiosity, as if you were part story, part person. You are not a stranger, but not entirely current either. Still, when someone meets your eyes, something recognizable passes between you. Connection, you realize, does not require identical clocks. It requires attention. It requires care. A moment shared across uneven time can still be a moment. A conversation delayed can still be sincere. Love, it turns out, is not measured in synchronized seconds, but in meaning carried patiently forward. You think about language next. How words evolve while you travel. How phrases soften or sharpen. How jokes change shape. When you return, you might need to listen more than you speak. You might sound old-fashioned without meaning to. But listening has always been a human skill. Curiosity bridges gaps that time creates. You imagine learning again, the way children do. Asking simple questions. Letting others explain the world as it has become. This does not make you less human. It makes you adaptable. Humanity has always survived by learning new rhythms, new tools, new ways of belonging. Time travel of any kind simply asks for that skill in a deeper way. You consider the body. Yours has aged slowly, gently, protected by speed. Others have lived decades while you lived years. At first this feels unfair, like borrowing time you did not earn. But then you remember that fairness was never time's promise. Some lives are long, some brief. Some are quiet, some bright. Meaning was never evenly distributed, only differently shaped. Inside you, emotions still rise and fall as they always have. You still feel joy, confusion, regret, hope. These experiences do not thin out with motion. If anything, they deepen, because you are aware of how fragile shared moments can be. Knowing that time can separate you makes presence more precious. You ask yourself whether you would feel lonely. The answer arrives softly. Yes, sometimes. But loneliness is not new. It has always accompanied awareness. Even on a crowded planet, minds remain separate. Traveling fast only makes that truth more visible, not more painful. And visibility, you remind yourself, can lead to understanding. You imagine forming new relationships in this altered flow of time. People who understand your journey, even if they cannot fully share it. Bonds built not on shared history, but on shared attention. These relationships would feel different, but not lesser. Humanity has room for many kinds of connection. You think about responsibility. About how knowledge of time dilation might change how you treat moments. You would likely move more gently. Speak more carefully. You would know that what feels brief to you might echo longer elsewhere. This awareness could make kindness feel heavier, and therefore more deliberate. You wonder if society itself would change. If fast travelers became common, if uneven aging became familiar. Perhaps communities would learn to welcome people returning out of step. Perhaps rituals would form to mark re-entry, not as loss, but as translation between tempos. Humanity has always built meaning around difference. You notice that fear begins to fade from this thought experiment. The question is no longer whether you would still feel human, but how humanity might expand to include this experience. Being human has never been a fixed definition. It has stretched across continents, technologies, and centuries. Why not across time itself? At last, you sense that speed does not erase humanity. It reframes it. It asks you to carry patience, humility, and curiosity more consciously. It reminds you that time was never a single river, but a braided stream, with many currents moving side by side. As this realization settles, your thoughts slow again. The universe feels large, but not cold. Change feels present, but not threatening. And somewhere ahead, you sense another idea waiting, one that invites you to stop struggling with time altogether, and simply walk alongside it. As the motion quiets, you begin to wonder what it would feel like to stop measuring time at all, and let it become something gentler, something closer, something that keeps you company rather than pushing you forward. You begin this chapter by letting your body rest completely. No movement, no resistance, no worry about schedules or obligations. The day has ended. The world continues outside, but you are here, breathing quietly, present. Time, which once felt like a ruler pressing against you, begins to feel different. It no longer measures, no longer judges. It walks beside you, a companion rather than a command. You notice your heartbeat, slow and steady. Your lungs, moving in a gentle rhythm. Even the rise and fall of your chest seems to carry its own tempo. This tempo is yours. It has always been yours. Time only notices when you try to ignore it. Tonight, you let it flow around you. It bends, it curves, it shifts slightly, just enough to meet you where you are. You imagine all the moments of your life as beads on a string. Some beads are bright, sharp, unforgettable. Others are soft, faded, almost transparent. Time moves through them, but it does not demand uniformity. Some beads cluster together, forming small patterns. Some are far apart, scattered across long stretches. Yet all remain on the string, each moment touching the next in quiet succession. You feel gratitude for this gentleness. You remember the astronaut, returning younger than those they left behind. You remember clocks slowing near massive worlds. You remember memory stretching some years and compressing others. All of these truths are reflections of one larger lesson: time is flexible, intimate, and patient. It does not exist to punish you. It exists to accompany you. You imagine yourself walking slowly through a forest. Not for speed, not for distance, not for accomplishment. You walk simply to feel the path beneath your feet. The trees rise around you. Shadows drift. Leaves whisper softly with the wind. Your attention drifts from one detail to another, yet you are aware of the entire scene. Time moves here as it always has, but it feels wide. Generous. Patient. You realize that most of your life has been spent trying to outrun it. Chasing deadlines. Marking milestones. Measuring everything against some imagined finish line. But tonight, time asks nothing. It allows you to exist fully in the present. You reflect on gravity's slow embrace, bending moments near massive objects. You remember the astronaut, traveling at near light speed, untouched inside but altered in the world's eyes. You feel the soft connection between memory and motion. Each layer of reality has its own rhythm, and all rhythms coexist. This understanding settles in your mind like a soft layer of clouds. You are not behind. You are not ahead. You are moving with the flow. Even change no longer feels threatening. You do not have to keep up with the universe's pace. You are already a part of it. You imagine floating now, gently, weightless. Not in space, but in awareness. Time moves around you like a river of light. It curves gracefully, following contours invisible to the naked eye. You feel both carried and supported. Your body, your mind, your memory, all of these are travelers within this river. They move naturally, not forced. They follow the current, bending with it, rising with it, resting within it. You recall moments when time felt cruel or unyielding. Deadlines looming. Loss arriving too soon. Hopes delayed. You see now that these moments were not punishments. They were interactions with the river of time, sometimes turbulent, sometimes calm. The turbulence passed. The calm remained. Even endings have their rhythm. You sense your breathing slowing further, deeper now. Each inhale brings presence. Each exhale releases tension. Time mirrors your own steady, reflective pace. You notice the idea of aging differently in various circumstances. It no longer feels unfair or strange. It is simply part of the river's curvature. A life lived gently is not shortened by time. It is stretched across experiences, moments, and attention. A life rushed is not lengthened. It simply passes unnoticed. You imagine walking along a beach now, barefoot. The sand is cool beneath your toes. Waves lap quietly at the shore. Each wave marks a small unit of time. Yet each wave also blends with the one before it, creating a continuous, flowing experience. This is how you wish to live within time. Not counting each step. Not measuring each wave. Simply feeling the rhythm. You remember again the human traveler, the astronaut, the clocks in motion, the slowing near heavy worlds. All these lessons converge into one gentle understanding: time is not external. Time is intimate. It follows your body. It responds to your awareness. It bends around your life in subtle ways. Even the universe itself seems to wait for you tonight. You notice a soft warmth spreading through your body. Not from temperature, but from recognition. You are aligned with your own flow. You are moving as you should. And then you feel it, a release. A letting go of all schedules, all pressures, all artificial markers of progress. Time is no longer an enemy. It is a companion. It walks beside you. Not ahead. Not behind. You begin to drift, slow and steady, towards sleep. Your mind drifts gently, riding waves of thought that are neither urgent nor demanding. The universe hums softly beneath your awareness. Gravity, memory, motion, human life all merge into a quiet sense of continuity. You feel yourself expanding in awareness and contracting in calm. There is no rush. There is no fear. Only the soft pulse of existence. Even endings feel open. Even beginnings feel patient. Time bends around you, as it always has, as it always will. It is here to accompany, not to judge. You imagine waking tomorrow still carrying this calm, still aware of the river of time flowing beside you, still present, still human, still alive. And as the final waves of consciousness carry you towards sleep, you feel an enduring trust settle in your mind. Time will wait. Time will flow. And you will move with it, gentle, steady, and fully alive. As the universe hums its patient rhythm, you drift deeper into sleep, knowing that time is not a task to complete, but a companion that walks quietly beside you, bending its pace to match your own.